Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Data Analytics and Sports. Shout out to my brother for a new microphone. I was tired of using that crappy one I've had that I bought for like $10 at a pawn shop. Also, shout out to him for reminding me that the 45 in my Twitter handle, D_A_S_45, could be possibly misinterpreted as an endorsement of our current, soon-to-be former president, and that is not the case. As a data/math nerd, I have a favorite number. That number's 9, so I just picked two numbers that add up to 9, and my heart is usually set on 27 or 36, but I went with 45. Would like to make it clear that is not in reference to Trump. So, again, shout out to my brother for letting me know that. But anyway, moving on from that, my latest post on my Twitter and on my blog was about my unfortunate adopted son in Marvin Bagley and the struggles he's had so far this season and basically throughout his entire career, mostly due to the fact that he cannot simply stay healthy. And even more importantly, he's just not very good. If you watch him on the Kings, it is a tough watch. And it's not just because the Kings are a bad team, which they obviously are, but because they have talent. They have De'Aaron Fox, who's a borderline all-star. They have Buddy Hield, one of the 5 best shooters alive right now. They have Rashawn Holmes, who's a very good backup center. I'm pretty sure they still signed. Did they trade away Hassan Whiteside, or is he still on the Kings? I'm pretty sure he's on the Kings. Yeah, he's back to the Kings, although he's also playing terribly. 6 points, 5 rebounds. I guess he's only playing 13 minutes a game, but still, he's not doing too hot either. Anyway, Hassan Whiteside, he's not doing too good. But if you look at Marvin Bagley, I remember I was talking with someone a while back ago, and if you go on my blog, on blogger.com, I'm usually pretty good at being able to determine whether or not a player is going to be good in the league, mostly just by their name, believe it or not. Like Mitchell Trubisky, I knew he was going to suck. No one named Mitchell is going to be good in the NBA. But then you got Marvin Bagley III. I thought he was going to be really good, or at the very least, a borderline all-star. And his first 2 seasons in the league were not bad at all. He was giving you 14 points, 7 to 8 rebounds. I thought he was just underutilized. Awful head coach. I forget who Luke Walton replaced, but just signing Luke Walton, that was never going to work. Coming out of college, out of Duke, I could have sworn he was my second favorite prospect behind Luka. I thought the Suns should have drafted Luka number 1 overall, gotten Clint Capella with the max in free agency, and just gone forward with Luka, Devin Booker, Kelly Oubre, Dario Saric, and Clint Capella. I thought that's a future championship team right there. I think that's 2.5 all-stars. But, God, his rookie season, 15, 7.5, 1-1, playing in the West, constantly having to go up against like Rudy Gobert. You're going up against AD when AD got to the Lakers. That's tough. That is a tough schedule, especially for a rookie, for a rookie who's on a team with 2 guards who aren't ideal at playmaking. De'Aaron Fox is at best like a really good playmaker, or not a really good playmaker, but at best he's like an average playmaker. But Marvin Bagley's just regressed unbelievably. In the formula I came up with to try to determine like the overall effectiveness of a player, it's VORP plus box score plus minus plus win share, all that divided by usage rate, plus points, rebounds, assists divided by minutes per game times effective field goal percentage, all that, minus turnovers. Marvin Bagley's a negative 32. That is horrendous. Last year in the 2019-2020, minus 32, that's the worst I've calculated. Or the only one worse would be rookie year DeAndre Hunter. Although in that previous iteration of the formula, I did not take into account effective field goal percentage or win shares. I didn't take win shares into account either. Last year we had scores of like 47 from LeBron, 11 from Danny Green, 6 from Dwight Howard, 14 from Pascal Siakam, 5 from DeAndre Ayton, and then Lauri Markkanen basically a zero, a wash, and then you've got negative 32 so far this year with Marvin Bagley. For reference, Ben Simmons is a 9, Joel Embiid 28, Kawhi 21, LeBron's 20. It is tough to watch Marvin Bagley this year. I feel bad for him. I don't know what team he could possibly go to. He wants a trade. I don't know who's trading what for him. I don't know what teams would want a somewhat healthy or a rarely healthy power forward who can't stretch the floor or defend. I mean, if he was committed to playing the center, I think it would be better for him. But he's not a very good pick and roll, pick and pop center. Can't really distribute the ball like Bam Adebayo or Nikola Jokic. He cannot defend the 5. Can't shoot. He has no offensive. You can't give him the ball and he can get you a bucket. He's really just such a unique skill set. I think it's the same problem that a guy like Lauri Markkanen suffers from, where it's if you're a 4 who can't play the 5 and you can't play the 3, the 4 is a dying position. The power forward, it's really a dead position. Any 4 is really a 3 or a 5. Even like a Giannis who plays power forward, he's a center. Giannis is not a power forward. There is no power forwards anymore. A power forward nowadays is just a large small forward or a small center. And Marvin Bagley is not a small center, and he's not a large small forward. He is a power forward through and through, and that's just not a good position. Even like Tobias Harris, who I consider a power forward, he's really just a big small forward. That's all he is, because he doesn't have post moves. He doesn't back anyone down. He shoots threes, he defends, and he has the ball in his hands like a 3 normally would, looking to score. He's not a 4. They just have him play the 4. I don't know what Marvin Bagley should do. I don't know where he should go. I mean, maybe the Knicks take a swing at him. They can never say no to too many power forwards. His win shares are abysmal. His box score plus minus is abysmal. His usage rate is way too high for someone giving you 11 and 8 on 40% effective field goal percentage, playing 25 minutes a game with over 2 turnovers. He does not have a positive value over replacement player. Hell, Seth Curry has a positive value over replacement player. I mean, that's just negative 0.2. Negative 0.2 doesn't sound bad, but this far into the season, not a lot of play. It's hard to have a negative value over replacement player if you're a good player so far this season. You're usually going to have 0.2 or higher. So to have negative 0.2 means that he's not even an average player. He's approaching Andrew Wiggins' status of good stats, probably going to be overpaid, just not a good player. Very one-trick pony-esque. But moving on from that, I want to talk about Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls, my Chicago Bulls, and how he's putting up career. It's been highly underrated, the improvement we've seen from Zach LaVine every single year. 10 points to 14 to 18.9 to 16 to 23 to 25 to now 27 points on 57.3% effective field goal percentage. He's shooting 37% from 3, not his best, not his worst. 58% from 2, easily his best. He's getting to the line 5.6 times a game. That's his average. He's shooting 49% from the field. That's his career high. That's really good. 20 field goal attempts, 9 makes, 35 minutes a game. It's really nothing crazy, but you look at his numbers and you look at where the Bulls are in the standings. It's pretty impressive what he's capable of doing, even though the Bulls are 4-7. They were 4-4 at one point with a chance to go 5-4, and then they went 0-3. And, really, we got to get him out of there. I mean, he's 25. He's not young, but he's not old. You got to think he's got at least 7 years, probably like 5 to 7 years left of elite offensive production. I mean, how often can you find a 25, or really a 24 to 28 point per game scorer who gives you 37% from 3, 50% from the field, 52% from two, and over 85% from the free throw line on average. There are not a lot of, I mean, he's an all-star this year. If he keeps this up, he is definitely one of the guard with no Kemba Walker. Kyle Lowry's good, but the Raptors are really struggling. You got to imagine Zach LaVine, if he's not an all-star, I don't know what the hell an all-star is at this point. I mean, he is playing out of his mind as of late. 27, 5 and 5 on almost 50, 40, 90 shooting. It's 49, 38, 88 from the field. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can do that. I mean, really, the list of guys who are currently doing that is basically Kawhi, LeBron, Steph. That's it. I mean, Doncic isn't shooting too well. Young is almost there, although, hell, Young is maybe the single worst defender in the league, and Zach LaVine is no defensive stud, but he's at least passable on that end of the field, or end of the court. I mean, sometimes it's hard to watch these Chicago Bulls games because Kobe White is playing out of position. Lauri Markkanen doesn't know what he's doing. Otto Porter Jr. is too busy partying during the largest upper respiratory infection in recorded human history, hanging out with James Harden and Lil Baby. But at least Patrick Williams is looking good. Daniel Gafford gave the Wizards some buckets, which is not a sentence I would ever think I would say. There's some good things to watch. And Zach LaVine, it's like it seems like it's the 15th year in a row with the Chicago Bulls that Zach LaVine's putting up 28, 5 and 5 on an incredible efficiency, and the Bulls are like 4 and 10. And then he wants to get traded, and he doesn't get traded, and they just do it again the next year, and he just gets a little bit better. I don't know. I feel for the guy. He is unfortunately stuck on this Bulls team with seemingly no way out. He's putting up in absolutely incredible numbers, but he's just stuck. And the Bulls are just kind of stuck. And I think that with him as your best player, you're not going anywhere anytime soon. But if he's your second or third best player, like he would be with the Jazz or the Bucks or the Clippers or I don't know, some other team that's just in desperate need of some scoring, I mean, that's a dangerous team. A 27, 5 and 5 guy that gives you almost 50, 40, 90. Like, he's giving you 27 points on about 20 shots. It's not great, but given where the league is going, efficiency isn't all that matters. Sometimes it's all about, can you be a 40% shooter and you only take 12 to 15 shots, Like if you were looking at like a team like the Clippers or the Bucks, they are in desperate need of a guy who can give you those numbers. And Zach LaVine is that guy. I don't know what the Bulls could get for him, but if Drew Holiday can go for every pick known to man, plus Eric Bledsoe, yeah, I think we should be able to get a lot for Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine right now, in a vacuum, is significantly better than Drew Holiday. And I love Drew Holiday. But on the Bucks, he's just been kind of meh, He hasn't been anything crazy, he hasn't been anything bad. But Zach LaVine, I mean, he's putting up insane stats, and the Bulls are average in offense, well below average on defense, 29th in the league in defense, behind the Wizards somehow. I don't know how that happened. Somehow behind the Timberwolves and the Wizards. And, shockingly, the Clippers, 26th in the league in defense. That team's in a free fall. I don't know what they need, but they need something that isn't the 35-year-old Serge Ibaka playing 25 minutes. If Serge Ibaka is playing 25 minutes at this stage in his career, that is not a recipe for success. Speaking of defense, someone just got a big extension offer. He's a center. Not a lot of all-star teams made. Got $200 million. They're currently 16th in the league in defense. I'm talking, of course, about Rudy Gobert. Possibly the largest overpay in recorded human history. It's always nice to know that if you're 7 feet tall and if you can give 12 and 13 a night, you're worth $200 million, roughly $45 million a year. So to all you kids out there, if you're over 6'8", play basketball. Don't play football. Don't play baseball. Play basketball. You'll get paid a lucrative amount of money just because you're tall. And it's using that formula I mentioned. I use this formula for everything. Anytime there's a player, it's tough because it's so early in the season, so everything's kind of skewed. But Rudy Gobert has a score of 15.8. That's just sad. To be a supermax caliber player, get a 15. Yikes. I mean, that's tough to look at. I mean, last year, if we look at all the players with a supermax, I see Devin Booker has a higher score at 16. Brandon Ingram has a higher score. Chris Paul had a score of 34. Damian Lillard, 45. Joel Embiid, 23. Giannis, 49. Nikola Jokic, 49. Ben Simmons, 31. Kawhi, 43. Rudy Gobert last year had a score of 43. He last year was significant. He got this extension and he started playing significantly worse. I mean, granted there were some differences in the way I scored things last year, but somehow he just has fallen off a cliff. And of course, my score is nothing great. You know, it only has LeBron with a 20, Steph Curry with a 17, and Giannis with a 17. But just the fact that Rudy Gobert has a score of 15, I kind of sound like a Rudy Gobert hater right about now. But I mean, you know, my formula is good for measuring impact. You know, it's not stats, it's impact. Score 15. I kind of sound like a hypocrite right about now because there are scores that are very comparable to him from really good players: Steph, Giannis, Doncic, LeBron, Kawhi, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. They all have scores right around in that range. And Marvin Bagley sitting pretty with a negative 32.5. I sound like a massive hypocrite. Trae Young has a score of negative 8.8. I have Trae Young in my MVP race. But if you just look at the numbers, you look at the formula, you look at the result, and you just look at his total impact outside. Because again, this formula is not an end-all, be-all. You have to look at the on-court production. You have to look at the fit on the court. And it's just not good. He's just 12 and 13. He has ridiculously low points, surprisingly high rebounds, no assists, plays a lot of minutes, kind of averages a little too many turnovers, but it's nothing crazy. His box score plus minus isn't anything to write home about. His VORP is average. His win shares are okay, and they don't. But the thing is, and I guess this is what's killer, is that he has no usage rate. He is not used in the offense at all. He's used slightly more than Seth Curry is for the Sixers. And Seth Curry is just a spot-up three-point shooter. They are not putting the ball in Gobert's hands at all. He's just giving you a lot of rebounds. If he didn't give you these rebounds, let me see something. I'm going to do an experiment live on air. What if I say Rudy Gobert only averages 7 rebounds? His score is unchanged. Okay, I gotta say, actually, that's kind of impressive. My mind is slowly being changed about Rudy Gobert as I'm talking about him, because that is actually impressive to get rid of 6 rebounds and his score is basically unaffected. That's pretty impressive, I gotta say. If you get rid of 6, almost 7 rebounds, his score goes down by 0.43. That is pretty impressive. I'll give him that. You know what? I got to say, my mind is slowly being changed. But, it all comes down to, is he worth $200 million? For the Jazz, maybe. He might be. But if I'm paying someone the supermax, if I'm giving someone Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James kind of money, they have to be good on every team. Rudy Gobert's good on some teams. If I were the Hawks, would I want him instead of Clint Capella? No, I wouldn't. $200 million, I get 80 to 85% of Rudy Gobert and Clint Capella, and I have to pay Clint Capella $20 million. I have to pay him half. Rudy Gobert gets 40 to 45. I have to pay Clint Capella 18 to $24 million realistically for Clint Capella. Rudy Gobert's 40 to 45 million. That is an insane. That's a difference in about $25 million. So yeah, I'd take Clint Capella. If I was the Celtics, would I want Rudy Gobert? In a heartbeat. If I were the Celtics, would I take Clint Capella? I wouldn't. If I was a GM, I would not even have to blink. I would happily, if I was the Boston Celtics, take Rudy Gobert. Boston Celtics are 19th in the league in defense, 110.4 rating. Boston Celtics are nothing to write home about. Their net rating is, it's a 2. They're 11th in the league in net rating. But in terms of rebounding, Jazz are 4th in both offensive and defensive rebound percentage. The Celtics in defensive rebounding percentage are 20th, and in offensive rebounding percentage, they're 3rd somehow. I guess that is because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are sneaky good at following the shot, which is why you should always follow your shot, kid. You never know when that could really come in handy. So that does boost their rebounding percentage to 51.8% rebounding percentage. But still, if I were the Boston Celtics, I would snatch up Rudy Gobert in a heartbeat because the Utah Jazz are currently 2nd in rebounding percentage. And with Donovan Mitchell throwing up brick after brick after brick, that is especially helpful. So I would definitely, if I was the Boston Celtics, but let's say you're the, Clippers. Yeah, I'd take them. If I were the Knicks, nope. If I'm rebuilding, I don't want Rudy Gobert. If I was the Heat, no. Suns, no. Nets, no. Kings, I'd probably do it if I was the Kings. Mavericks, no, not a chance. Blazers, no. Pacers, no. Hornets, maybe. I might do the Hornets. If I was the Spurs, no. Thunder, no. Cavs, no. Wizards. Actually, yeah, if I was the Wizards, I'd do that in a heartbeat, simply because the Wizards can't defend a parked car, according to Bradley Beal. The Warriors, no, I wouldn't do it. There's so many teams I'm looking at, like contenders, rebuilding teams, average teams, where I'm just, like, if I'm the Pacers, I'm just saying no. I don't want Rudy Gobert. I've got Sabonis, I've got Turner, I'm set. I don't want to. It's interesting to think that this is a max caliber player, and a good portion of the teams that are either contending, rebuilding, or just like 3 to 8 seeds, I wouldn't take them. I would not even touch him with a 15-foot pole. I would not take Rudy Gobert on some of these teams. And yet he's worth $200 million with this extension. Great player. Honestly, I don't hate the fit with the Jazz. They give him exactly what they need. He gives them 12 points, 14 rebounds, nothing else. No assists, plays a lot of minutes, and you don't have to design plays around him. But he has a low usage percent for an all-star caliber player, supposedly. Marvin-Bagley has a higher usage percent. The ball is never in his hands. All his points come from just pick and rolls, putbacks, that's it. He does not have the ball. You can't trust him with the ball. He's not good late in game. He gets played off the court a lot. Great defender, great rebounder. That's it. And I don't know if that's worth $200 million. For the Jazz, it is, but I don't know if I would pay $200 million for just a really good center in today's league, where we're seeing small ball take over. We're seeing Anthony Davis, who wants to play power forward when he's playing center. The Lakers are at their best. I don't know. It seems like it's a great fit for the Jazz, although they need more wing scoring and wing defending and guard scoring and guard defending, because Jordan Clarkson also cannot guard a parked car. He'd fit in great with the Wizards. The Wizards. But yeah, no, he'd fit in great with the Wizards. I don't know. I don't hate the move, but I think there will come a time where this bubble of constantly increasing contracts, it's going to pop. Because if Rudy Gobert is getting $200 million, eventually someone is not going to pay Rudy Gobert $200 million. There could be a bidding war, but the next Rudy Gobert, I don't know if he's going to get $200 million. He's going to get a lot of money. I don't know if he's going to get $200 million. But moving on to the MVP race. Who do I think is going to be in the MVP race? Well, who's currently in my MVP race? There's a lot of players. There's Seth Curry, currently shooting over 50% from three, has a score on my thing of 35.38. Absolutely friggin' ridiculous. I mean, Seth Curry, greatest Curry of all time, in my opinion. Should be 2-time MVP, maybe even 3-time MVP. Two of them should be unanimous. Um, Highest box score plus minus of a role player by far. Hell, even higher than Trae Young. He's the leader of the team. I think he's the best Curry. He's the best Seth of all time. Best player with a name that starts with an S. Yeah, I think Seth Curry's currently number one in MVP race. And then you've also got guys like his older brother, Steph, the inferior Curry player, but still playing incredible. Career high 62, I think, against the Blazers it was. Yeah. They're climbing up the rankings. They are for the Warriors. Where are the Warriors? Yeah, they're fifth. They're 6-4. Kelly Oubre can't hit a shot to save his life, but the Warriors are still somehow good. I did not see that coming. Andrew Wiggins is not good, but somehow he's defending Kawhi Leonard as if his life depended on it. He's looking like he's worth not $24 million, but Andrew Wiggins is definitely looking like he's worth a good amount of money. He's playing like it. The Warriors are on a 2-game winning streak. You've got Luka Doncic, who's giving you 26, 9, and 8. He's doing Luka Doncic stuff. Mavs are on a 3-game winning streak. They were 2-4, now they're 5-4. They're 6th in the West. That's impressive. Of course, you got the Lakers, 2-game win streak, 8-3, number 1 in the West. I believe number 1 in the league. Yeah, one more win than the 76ers. They're number 1 in the league. LeBron James doing LeBron James stuff, 24, 8-8 basically. You got the Suns, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. If Devin Booker stops turning the ball over and Chris Paul starts hitting shots, they're a dangerous team. I don't know if they're going to stay number 2, but they're a good team. Devin Booker's just got to stop turning the ball over, let Chris Paul do Chris Paul things. And Chris Paul, he's 37. He looks like he could be 22. I couldn't tell you. It's that vegan diet. The Clippers, somehow the Clippers are still 3rd in the West. Every single time I open social media, I think the Clippers suck. And then I look at their stats, and they're actually really good. I don't know how they do it, but Kawhi Leonard is doing Kawhi Leonard stuff, 24, 5, and 5, shooting damn near like 50, 40, 90 every single night. Only 2 turnovers. I don't know how the hell he does this stuff. It's crazy. He's got a score of 21.5. That doesn't do him justice, though. He's much better. Only a usage rate of around 29%. Box score plus minus 4.7. Win shares 1.2. 0.5 value over replacement player. The only 2 players have higher, Joel Embiid and LeBron. Absolutely ridiculous stuff from him. I mean, defensively, he looks locked in. Paul George doesn't look awful, even though they lost by 51 to the Mavericks, which was difficult to watch if you were a Clippers fan. But, I mean, somehow they're still 7-4. I don't know how they're doing this. They're 3-2 at home, 4-2 away. They won their previous game. I forget who they played previous to the Clippers. I forget who they played. But they're looking good. Kawhi Leonard looks locked in. You've got Joel Embiid, possibly the best team in the East. Currently the best team in the East, tied with the Celtics, 7-3. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They were 7-1. They were looking really good. Joel Embiid, nothing has changed. He's doing what he always does: 24, 25 points, 11 to 12 rebounds, 57% of effective field goal percentage, 3 turnovers. Usage rate around 30%. Box score plus minus 6.4. They're really good with him on the court, and they're absolutely garbage with him off the court, both offensively and defensively. He's really the anchor on both ends. I wouldn't be shocked if Joel Embiid won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year if he pulls a Giannis. I mean, he's playing that good. My Defensive Player of the Year still goes to Bam Adebayo, currently the best player on the Heat. He's not in the MVP conversation yet, but I would not be shocked if he, a couple weeks in, you're going to see a couple Bam Adebayo appreciation posts, and he might sneak in a quick blip to get in the MVP race. But I wouldn't be shocked if, some a Heat's propaganda Twitter account convinces ESPN to run a quick article about Bam Adebayo, the most underappreciated player in the league. I wouldn't be shocked about that. I wouldn't be shocked if Brian Windhorst hints and suggests that Bam Adebayo, he might find a way to the Lakers. You never know. Or who are the Heat going to trade for next? 42-year-old Chris Paul. Wouldn't be shocked. But he's playing great. He's my Defensive Player of the Year vote. Although right now it's Joel Embiid, but I still think Bam's going to win it. LeBron, Steph, Giannis doing Giannis stuff, 27, 10, and 5. 17 score, really low. Although, again, at this point, everyone's VORP and win shares are kind of skewed. Trae Young, he's in the MVP conversation. He's giving you 24, 4, and 8, or basically 24, 24, 4, and 9 almost. The Hawks have lost 4 in a row. They were 4-1. Now they're 4-5. They are bad. I thought they were good. I thought they had a floor of 8 seed. Like bare minimum, they make the playoffs with Trae Young as their leader. But he is tough to watch, even tougher to watch than James Harden. Just the consistent flopping. Like James Harden, if he doesn't get to the free throw line, has a really good game. If Trae Young doesn't get to the free throw line, he has an abysmal game. He'll give you 12 points, 5 and 5 if he doesn't get to the free throw line. If James Harden doesn't get to the free throw line, he gives you 24, 8 and 8. Trae Young doesn't get to the free throw line, he's unwatchable. He's unplayable because he's not hitting his shots then. He's not getting those 10 trips to the line to make 8 or 9 free throws. Like it is difficult to watch Trae Young. He has a negative win share of negative 3.1. That's lower than Marvin Bagley at negative 0.1. That's lower than anyone I've calculated out so far for the 2021-2022 season. He's been really good and really bad. Inconsistency is his mark right now. I mean, he's shooting worse from 3 than Russell Westbrook. It is difficult to watch Trae Young right now. Don't get me wrong, he's still in the MVP race simply because he is giving you 24, 4, and 8.5. But his effective field goal percentage is awful. He's got a lot of turnovers. Obviously he's got the ball in his hands, but he's turning the ball over a lot. He's got a score of -8. That's the only negative score I've calculated out so far in this attempt to come up with my MVP board. But he's like dead last in my MVP race, but he's still in it technically. Durant, I've got in my MVP race 29, 7.5, and 5, 35 minutes a game, 58 effective field goal percentage. That's ridiculous for a wing player. 24 score, 6.3 box score plus minus. Kyrie Irving's been playing out of his mind, but if Kevin Durant is on the floor, they're a championship team. When he's not, they're a playoff team. It's a huge difference there. The Nets have lost 2 in a row. They're 5-6, but I expect them to turn it around once they stop dying because all their players are testing positive for COVID. That Spencer Dinwiddie injury hurt them a lot. I don't know what they're going to do to fix that, especially in free agency or the trade market. I don't know if they have anything they could do. But Kevin Durant is still definitely in the MVP race. But right now, the player I have winning the MVP, Nikola Jokic. This is the single most impressive season. I think he should be unanimous MVP if he keeps this up. Because the Nuggets were awful. They were not good. They were almost bottom in the West. And then he started putting up 24, 11, and 10 on 62% effective field goal percentage. He has a 9.8 box score plus minus. When he's on the court, this is a championship team. This is my favorite team to win the championship if he's on the court. When he's off the court, they are a chicken without a head. It is ridiculous. Win share of 2.1, that's the highest I've seen so far. And he has a usage rate below 30%. That's lower than Giannis, that's lower than Steph, that's lower than Kawhi, that's lower than LeBron. That's just barely above guys like Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Marvin Bagley. And he's giving you 24, 11, and 10.5. He has been playing out of his mind. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They're only 10th in the West. If he's going to win MVP, they need to be a top 3 seed in the West. But right now, Nikola Jokic is my MVP. I mean, he has been playing ridiculous basketball. The numbers don't even do it justice, and his numbers are ridiculous. I've never seen anything like that. He's the best center in the NBA, and he's approaching one of the best players in the NBA. You've got Giannis, Luka, LeBron, Harden, AD, Kawhi, Joel Embiid, and up there, or Durant, of course, and then you got to put Jokic way above a lot of those guys. I haven't really given it a lot of thought. That might be my next podcast episode, like what are my current top 10 players in the NBA. Jokic, he's top 10, and he ain't 10, he ain't 9 or 8 or 7 or 6. I mean, he is playing. Don't get me wrong, I love two-way players. I hate it when a player's all offense, no defense. But to have a box score plus minus of 9.8. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I don't even have it pulled up yet what his defense box score plus minus is, but okay, it's 2, which, that's not great for a center, but that's not, I mean, given the fact that he's not a great defender, to have a positive defensive box score plus minus, that's really what you're looking for. That's been basically his career average since the 2018-2019 season. Prior to that, it's been like 1.3-ish. So, I mean, he's improved in every category. He's shooting just lights out from everywhere. It is just ridiculous how good this man is shooting. 43% from 3, 58% from the field, 62% from 2, 80% from the free throw line, 24 points per game. That's a career best. I mean, he's improved in every statistical category. Most rebounds of his career, most assists of his career, most offensive rebounds of his career, most defensive rebounds of his career. One of the better free throw percent shooting from his career. He's getting to the line more than ever. I mean, he is my MVP right now. And I think if you polled all the GMs in the league, I think they'd tell you something similar. If he is going to win the MVP, though, they have to play better. His team has to be significantly better than they are right now. Jamal Murray's playing okay. Maga Porter Jr. is out because he doesn't believe that the coronavirus is real and he doesn't understand what the hell a vaccine is. But if he ever gets his act together, Jamal Murray starts playing better and Gary Harris plays the way he did in 2018, he's my MVP and he might come out of the West. I love this Lakers team. I still got the Lakers and the Nets in the finals, but I mean, God, this Nuggets team, if he plays like this, they're scary. They are scary. I think for my next podcast episode, I'll talk about my current top 10 players. I'll go from like 10 to 1, or maybe I'll do teams and then players. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But anyway, now you know my MVP. Thanks again for listening. Stay tuned for more.